Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, my name's Jenny and this is Arnold the Praying Penguin, and today the penguins are going to be choosing my July TBR. If you're not familiar with Penguins Choose My TBR, this is a game that I play each month to choose which books I will be reading that month, and it involves lots of penguins. Of course, who better to choose things for me? But first, let's look back at the books that I have been reading in June. So I started very nice and easy with Noah and the Very Big Boat by Tim Thornborough and illustrated by Jennifer Davison, and I love this whole series. I was very kindly given a few of these books by the Good Book Company, and this was one of them, and these are absolutely beautiful children's books. They cover lots of different Bible stories, and this one is obviously Noah's Ark, and the artwork and the animals are all just stunning and I love them. So I gave that one 4 stars. The next book I read was The Lucky Escape by Laura Jane Williams, and I gave this 3 stars. This was very like rom-com, woman gets left at the altar, randomly bumps into someone she used to know years ago, ends up going on the honeymoon with this random guy kind of storyline. And it was fine, like incredibly quick read, incredibly like you wanted to keep reading, but it wasn't really anything special, and there were a couple of bits that just kind of irritated me about it and about some of the characters that I just didn't like. So that's 3 stars. The book that I read after that was A Woman Is No Man by Ita Fromm, and this actually wasn't on my original Penguins Choose My June TBR from last month. In that video, for literary fiction, I chose a book called Whoever Fears the Sea, and then NetGalley went and archived a bunch of the books that I didn't know had they didn't have archive dates, and they suddenly had archive dates, and they all disappeared from my collection. So that was annoying, and I lost access to that book. So I replaced it with A Woman Is No Man. So this is a book following a woman in Palestine who ends up getting married and moving to America, and it also follows her daughter quite a few years later and her life also in America. And I ended up giving this book 3 stars. It was better than A Lucky Escape, so it's like a higher 3 stars, but it didn't quite make a 4 stars for me, because even though I really loved the idea of the book, I really loved the story and the plot line and kind of what it was saying, I didn't really love like the writing style and how it was written. It was very kind of in your face, quite blunt, and a bit overly repetitive in my mind, and I just didn't really enjoy that part of it. The next book that I read was You're Not Enough and That's Okay by Ali Beth Stuckey, and I've had a really kind of on and off love-hate relationship with Christian non-fiction over the last couple of months. There's been some that have just not really worked for me, so I was so glad that I really enjoyed this book and I gave it 5 stars. This is a book having a look at kind of some of the messages that were taught in kind of through the self-love movement, and taking a look at them from a biblical perspective and seeing actually what does the Bible have to say about this. So it kind of takes a look at 5 myths in particular, and they are: you are enough, you determine your truth, you're perfect the way you are, you're entitled to your dreams, you can't love others until you love yourself. And it looks at why those are not biblical statements and what the Bible actually has to say about these messages. So I would really recommend this to anyone who is kind of hearing those and thinking, oh, but I thought that sounded good, why would the Bible be against that? Because I think this is a really interesting read, it's really easy to read, very quick, and just full of really good biblical information. Then the book I'm currently reading is Flora and Grace by Maureen Lee, and this is about a girl who is at boarding school in Switzerland when she's on a train station, and a train comes through the station carrying coachfuls of Jewish people to concentration camps, and she's kind of running alongside this train really confused about what it is and where these people are being taken, when someone hands her a baby out of the carriage down to her and asks her to look after him. And so far it's good. I'm not quite sure kind of where it's gonna go. There's not much like intrigue, I guess. We're following 2 kind of storylines. We're following Flora, who is the girl who is raising this child, and we know that Grace is his mother because we're kind of following her father as he's trying to figure out what happened to her after the war. But I think we've only had like 1 chapter from him. We've had very little kind of following his story yet, and I'm like nearly halfway. We've had like 1 chapter from him. So I'm interested to see if we're gonna have a bit more from his point of view in the future and actually find out about Grace as well. So I have about 5 days left of the month at the time that I'm filming this. So I need to finish Flora and Grace, then I need to read Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis and Away with the Penguins by Hazel Pryor. And I'm really excited for this one, so I don't think this is going to be a problem to get through at all. And Mere Christianity is actually quite short, and I am really interested to read this. So I think both of these are perfectly manageable to get through. And I also have 2 days off work at the beginning of next week, so I should have plenty of reading time, hopefully. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on some of these books that I've mentioned, I will link down below a blog post that I do at the end of each month, giving my full review and thoughts and ratings on each book that I've read. And I'm also going to be linking all of the books down in the description for you to find if you want to check them out too. So I think I have safely passed June's TBR, fingers crossed, but I'm going to give myself a punishment regardless because I well and truly failed May's TBR. When I filmed my June TBR there was still quite a lot left of the month, and I thought that I would be able to get through the rest of the books on that TBR, and I failed badly, like really badly. I did not even start Skyward, so I didn't finish Skyward at all by Brandon Sanderson. I got about halfway through 100 Years of Solitude, and that was the one that caused the problem because it took me forever to get through half of that, and I ended up just having to stop because it would have taken me like the whole of June to get through that book. And I had to return it to the library, so I failed. I've screenshotted like where I got up to, so I might like continue that at a later date. I wasn't like disliking it, but I also wasn't loving it, and I was very confused the entire time. It was tough. And then I also haven't finished How to Pray by Pete Greig, and I was expecting to love that book, and I'm just not enjoying it so far. It's far too similar to the prayer course, which is, I mean, it's meant to go as like a companion book to the prayer course, so I expected it to be similar, but there's kind of very little extra content in the book in my mind. So I'm just finding it very kind of samey because I've done the prayer course several times, so I know a lot of what he's talking about and it doesn't feel like anything new or helpful. So I think I'm kind of going to put that one to one side for now as well, because no part of me wants to pick it up at the moment, which is sad. But that does mean for July I'm going to be choosing 8 books. 8 books, which is a lot. But I am on holiday for a week in July, and I'll hopefully take a few books with me and get through a few of those while on holiday. I also don't have any readathons or challenges or anything like that that I'm particularly working on this month, so I'm free to kind of choose whatever books the Penguins want me to read this month. So let's get into the game. Okay, for roll number 1 we are starting over here where we finished off last month. Got a 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A yellow. So next month I'm actually going to be changing up the yellow pieces of paper in here because I've pretty much finished Arnold's 21 in 2021 challenge. So if you've got any ideas of things I should pop in here for different challenges or prompts, let me know in the comments. Animal on the cover, okay. Okay, for our first prompt we got a book with an animal on the cover. And for this one I think I'm going to go for The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa. And as far as I know, this is a book about a man and his cat, and they go on a bit of a road trip. And at the beginning I believe we don't kind of really know why. And I've heard that this book is very, very sad. Meg with Books read this recently and cried a lot. So I'm a little bit scared, but I've also heard that it's really quite funny kind of reading from this cat's perspective and kind of that like sarcastic humour that you would expect cats to have, to be honest. So I am really looking forward to this. Roll number 2. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. An orange. Random letter title. Okay. Okay, so for book number 2 we got random letter title, so I'm going to use my phone, pull up a random letter generator, and then we're going to use that letter to pick the title of the book that we're going to read. Okay, so let's pick a random letter. J. J for Jenny. Okay, so we need to find a title that begins with a J. That sounds tricky, but let's have a look. Okay, so yes, I was correct. J is a difficult letter. And the only book that I could find on my shelf or on my library or on my TBR shelf is Jonah and the Very Big Fish by Tim Thornborough, illustrated by Jennifer Davison. So this is from the same series as the Noah and the Very Big Boat book that I read last month. Again, very short children's book, very easy to get through, so great for my 8-book TBR. Again, very kindly gifted to me by the Good Book Company who published these. And again, the artwork is just beautiful, and this tells the story of Jonah and the whale. So, excited to read that. Roll number 3. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another orange prompt. Okay, lots of challenges this month. Goodreads lowest rating. Okay, haven't had that one before. Okay, so for book number 3, we're going to find the lowest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. So we're going to ignore ones that don't have more than like 50 or so ratings. Okay, so I've got my want to read list on Goodreads. We're going to sort by average rating. And let's see which of these books do I actually have. Okay, so interestingly, Makeup Breakup by Lily Menon, which I believe is actually just a pen name for Sandia Menon, only has a 3.23 rating, and it has over 1,900 ratings, so that's fine. I actually have this on NetGalley, so I have an e-arc of it, which I need to read in July anyway, so this is perfect that this has come up, even if it is extremely low rated. Okay, roll number 4. A 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, a red this time. Red piece of paper. The Underground Railroad. So I actually mentioned this book in last month's TBR video because we were looking for a book beginning with a U, but Libby had removed it from the app, which was really annoying because I wanted to read it. So I spotted this in a charity shop near me and figured I might as well pick it up because I'm really interested in reading it. So this is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, and this is about a slave called Cora in Georgia, and she is running away from the plantation that she's on, and it talks about the Underground Railroad as a physical Underground Railroad. So I think this will be a really interesting book to explore. Book number 5. 3. 1, 2, 3. Blue Penguin. Okay, so when we land on Blue Penguin, we have to choose a book that is a children's book, a middle grade, or a YA. And I already have one children's book on my list, so I don't think I'll add another children's or middle grade. I'm probably going to be looking for a YA. But I'm not sure how much YA I have on my TBR, to be honest. Okay, so for this I think I'm going to read Dear Evan Hansen by Val Emick, and it's also by Stephen Levinson, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. And this is basically the book form of Dear Evan Hansen the musical, also going to be a film soon, so I'm really interested to read this as well. I know kind of the basic storyline, I've listened to the music a lot, I actually have tickets to see Dear Evan Hansen at the end of the year, which I'm super excited to go and see that. So I think this will be a fun book to read to kind of give a different perspective as well. Okay, book number 6. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Monty the Penguin. And here we need to choose a book that either has some kind of food theme, or if I haven't got anything with a food theme, it can be an animal theme. So this can be food or an animal on the cover, food or an animal in the title, or the book itself can be about those themes. So let me see what I've got. Okay, so I haven't found anything with a food theme. Again, that was a difficult one. Apparently I'm not very good at filling my own prompts. Oops. So I went with more of an animal theme, and we went for The Yellow Bird Sings, because the word bird animal themed. And this is by Jennifer Rosner. And this is about a mother and her daughter who is a musical prodigy, and they are hiding from the Nazis in Poland in 1941. And I think it's about how the mother uses music in particular and these yellow birds to kind of comfort her daughter and to keep them hidden as well. But I don't really know anything more than that, and I'm excited to read this. Okay, 2 books to go. Book number 7. 3. 1, 2, 3. Adelaide Penguins. So for an Adelaide penguin, we have to choose a romance book, because Adelaide penguins are adorable and they mate for life and they give each other pebbles, and it's beautiful and very romantic. So we need to choose a romance book, which I don't have a ton of. So I think I'm going to choose The Switch by Beth O'Leary. I'm not sure how romance this is versus contemporary, or whether it's much more contemporary and a little bit of romance. But I think there is going to be some element of romance in this book. This is about Lena and Eileen who switch places. I believe it's a granddaughter and her grandmother, and they swap lives. And I think it's about Lena wanting to kind of get away from the hubbub of London, and Eileen wanting to get away from kind of her loneliness and living by herself. So I think this is going to be a really fun, really cute read. So I'm looking forward to it. And for our final roll, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A red to finish us off. What book shall we be reading last? Elevator pitch. I'm really sorry if you keep hearing random cars and revving noises. They're being incredibly loud and they keep coming right outside my house. Thank you very much. So for our final book for July, book number 8, the Penguins have chosen Elevator Pitch by Linwood Barclay. And I'm really excited to read this. I've had this for quite a while and have been really wanting to read it. So this is a thriller about, so a group of people get into an elevator and it kind of stops listening to them, goes all the way to the top, and then plummets to the ground. And then the next day this happens in another building, and the next day it happens in another building. And the detectives are trying to work out what's going on and who's doing this and how before kind of something big happens at the end of the week, or something like that. I don't know much else about that, haven't heard much about this, but I'm excited to read it. Although I do think it might put me off elevators for a little bit, to be honest. I might not want to get in one too soon after reading this. Okay, so here are the books that I'm going to be reading in July. This is actually a really good mix. We've got historical fiction, we've got contemporary romance, mystery and thriller, we've got children's books. I think this is going to be a really nice mix for July. So we've got Jonah and the Very Big Fish by Tim Thornborough, The Travelling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arakawa, The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, The Yellow Bird Sings by Jennifer Rosner, The Switch by Beth O'Leary, Elevator Pitch by Linwood Barclay, and then we've also got Make Up, Break Up by Sandia Menon, and Dear Evan Hansen by Val Emick, Stephen Levinson, Benj Pasek and Justin Paul. So I do think this is a really good TBR this month. Thank you very much to Arnold and the Penguins for giving me such a good selection of books this month. I think we're going to have a lot of fun reading these and have lots of options. I will link all of the books that I've mentioned down in the description below if you think any of these might be interesting to you, as well as the blog post where I review all of the books that I've read in June as well. Do let us know down in the comments if you've read any of these books, what did you think, and what are your reading plans for July? Are you doing any readathons or anything that we've missed? Probably, we've probably missed some, but what are your plans? What are you planning to read? We hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more videos from me and Arnold, including next month's version of this when we'll be looking back at which of these books I got to and picking our TBR for August. But for now, we will see you on Saturday for a new video. Bye!